Morning, all. All right, starting things off today with a discussion of the race for the Calder Trophy. So this is something that's being discussed a lot, and I figured I haven't done a video on this, so we'll go ahead and we'll discuss this. So here are the ones that are seen as the top contenders. The NHL.com website had a ranking of who's most likely to win it. They had a vote and everything. And so Celebrini's at the top. And then on this side here, I've got some players I want to talk about who are having strong rookie seasons. Keeping in mind that your Calder winner is not always going to emerge as the best player from that rookie class, in that some guys who have quiet rookie seasons end up having fantastic careers. Also, some guys who have great rookie seasons don't necessarily have great careers. And that's definitely video worthy at some point in time down the road. Now, Celebrini leads the way in terms of the most likely to win the Calder. And he's been a little colder lately, scoring-wise. 33 games, 13 goals, 16 assists, 29 points. I think what impresses Celebrini is just his all-around game. Like, we know he's talented, we know he can produce points, but if you haven't watched his San Jose game recently, I'd honestly, I'd recommend it because they can be very entertaining to watch. They don't always win, obviously, being as far out of the playoffs as they are, but Celebrini's a very good player at both ends of the ice, and I think that's what stands out. There's still obviously going to be work to be done because he is in his first year, but the efforts there, you can see that he really is doing everything he can to succeed. And so I agree with him being the top most likely, but Lane Hutson has had quite the run for Montreal recently. 42 games played this season, 3 goals, 29 assists, 32 points. And it just feels like he's getting better as the season goes along. I have seen some complaints that he's just all offense, which is, I don't agree with that personally, but you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I think Lane Hutson's an excellent defenseman. At the time he was drafted, he was seen as, probably a good top 4. I think he has overachieved to this point. That being said, sometimes that's how it works out, right? The scouting reports you get on players when they're drafted are always going to be basically hit and miss because you're grading 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds, and you don't necessarily know what you're going to get when they're in their early mid-20s, right? Some players progress really well and some don't. Lane Hutson's been fantastic for Montreal and is a big part of the reason why they find themselves in the hunt for a playoff spot right now. Matvei Michkov. So Michkov has been hot and cold this year. 41 games, 13 goals, 17 assists, 30 points. Now, he had a power play goal last night for Philly. If he can get himself going, he can pull himself, I think, into the conversation with Celebrini. I still think this is a two-headed beast, though. I think for anybody to pass Hutson and Celebrini, they have to go on a nice prolonged run. Michkov's capable of doing that. He has the talent. The one question becomes, in Tortorella's systems, with Tortorella's coaching, is he likely to experience huge growth in the second half of the season offensively? One thing that does happen in January, and I've started to hear commentators during hockey games talking about it, and it's a real thing, is that rookie wall they hit. So when you're in university sports, when you're in junior sports, your season is not as long and arduous as it is at the National Hockey League level. And so for rookies, they will hit that wall usually in January is where it starts to kick in, right? You have your Christmas break, and then you go right back to it, and it's every other night, or, there's the back-to-backs as well. You're playing a game, and it's a lot on the body. It's something to get used to, and it definitely affects first-year players. So Michkov and Celebrini, keep an eye on their stats, I'd say, over the next month and see who's really hit the wall. Celebrini, a little bit more struggle with scoring over the last couple of weeks than in weeks prior to that. He did have a nice assist last night, so we'll see if he's pulling his way out of that. Dustin Wolf, so Calgary's star goaltender, 14-6-2 this season with a .916 save percentage. I think Wolf's a very good goaltender, and I mean, I've been saying that on this channel for a long time. You could see with the Wranglers, very good goaltender, and I still do not understand why Wolf fell in that draft. He was considered to be very good in that draft class, just short. That was the only thing they had on him, was, oh yeah, all of his numbers are good, everything's good, but he's not 6'5", so we're not going to draft him. Just ridiculous thinking. Wolf's a very good goaltender. The .916 save percentage is fantastic. In the event the Flames make the playoffs, that boosts Wolf's chances of ending up with the Calder Trophy. It is tough for a goaltender to outshine like star players like Celebrini and Hutson, but I think that Wolf is capable of doing so. Wolf was very good last night against LA, for an example. But Wolf's been very good all year. Logan Stankoven, Dallas, 39 games, 4 goals, 15 assists, 19 points. I like Stankoven a lot, but he has been very quiet recently. Had a very strong start to the season. Things have kind of fallen off since then. If he has a strong second half, he can get himself somewhat into the conversation. But I mean, you're looking at him 11 points behind Michkov right now. And obviously having 2 games in hand on Michkov, but he's a ways off. Stankoven is a very good player, though. Is he capable of a strong second half of the season? Sure, but getting into that Calder conversation, I'm not so sure. Siplikov with the Islanders, 42 games, 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points. Siplikov's a decent forward for them. He's been a good pickup. I don't see Siplikov going on a run that he'd need to in order to end up in that conversation. 2 reasons for that. One, I'm not sure that Siplikov has that star level potential that, say, Celebrini does or Michkov has. But also with the style of game that the Islanders play and with the lack of goals you're going to see in Islanders games, I'm not sure there's enough goals there for Siplikov to really and truly get into the conversation. So I do feel like it is a race between those top 4. And the other 2 are just on the board because that's where the voting fell, that they were in there as well. Now, others I'd like to talk about. Askarov. Askarov's 3-3-2 in San Jose with a .917 save percentage. I'm not sure which is more impressive. The 3-3-2 for a team that is nowhere near 500, or the .917 for playing behind a team that has the kind of defense that San Jose does. It's better than last year's defense, but it is still not a great defense. So the fact he has a .917 save percentage says a lot. If Askarov was playing a lot of games in the second half of the season, maybe, but he hasn't played enough, I think, to really and truly get into said conversation. So we'll see what happens with Askarov from here, what the Sharks decide to do, whether or not he ends up going back down to the minors when Vanacek's healthy. Because really and truly, I think the plan is to have Askarov as the starter next year. So I don't think this season's a big deal. He'll be the starter next year. Annunen, 9-6 record, .897 save percentage. Obviously playing in Nashville isn't going to help the wins totals unless they turn things around. In the event they turn things around, and if Annunen was the reason why, sure. But I don't see that happening at this point in time. Annunen is a decent backup, and I think that's basically where that is for him at this point in time. But hey, prove me wrong. And then with other scorers, you've got Cutter Gauthier, 42 games, 5 goals, 13 assists, 18 points. It's been a very quiet rookie season for Cutter Gauthier for the most part. The talent's there, the effort's there. He may be one of those guys that years down the road, those point totals really, really pick up. And then we look back and go, wow, he had such a quiet rookie season, and now he's a star. So Gauthier may be one of those type of guys. And then there's Emil Heineman. And Heineman's been really good for Montreal. 41 games, 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 points. I like Heineman a lot. I don't know if Heineman has that top potential. I don't know if Heineman can go on a run in the second half of the season to get himself into this conversation. But I thought, hey, I should talk a bit about Heineman because Montreal has multiple good young players. And they also have some good prospects that haven't come in yet, like Demidov. And you got to think when Demidov comes over, which hopefully is next season, yeah, Montreal, we may have a guy who's going to run away with the rookie award next year if Demidov's as good as if he's as good as advertised. There we go. Tongue doesn't want to work. It's too early in the day. Bolduc in St. Louis, 37 games, 5 goals, 10 assists, 15 points. Playing in St. Louis means you're not going to get as much attention this year as you might in other locations. But also with Bolduc, I think there's a good player there that he's going to grow into a bigger role with the team. So probably not going to end up jumping into this conversation anytime soon, but another one to watch in years after this one and watch for that growth. The effort's there, the size is there, everything's there that you need. Just not every player comes in and just is a star right away. Jackson Blake, 43 games, 9 goals, 4 assists, 13 points with Carolina. Blake's an interesting one. The talent's there. He's gone through quite the dry spell, but he seems to have come out of it. And if he has a strong second half, he's going to need other guys to hit the wall pretty hard in that second half of the season. And he's going to need to have a remarkable second half of the season. But the fact that he's played the full season for Carolina, they're a good team. So, yeah, Blake, Might be one to watch in seasons past this one, probably not so much for this year. And then there's Will Smith with San Jose. And I want to talk a bit about Will because it's been interesting. He had a very quiet start to the season. And then he was playing very, very well and he got hurt. And since coming back from the injury, it hasn't quite seemed the same. So 37 games, 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points. I think Smith's a good player. I think that he will have a very good career and be a very good top 6 forward in the National Hockey League. Just this is a much quieter rookie season for him than what we're seeing from Celebrini. But San Jose's future is very bright as well. So, yeah, I just wanted to weigh in on this. You guys can let me know who you would pick to win the Calder Award if you had a vote at this point in time. I don't have a vote. I don't think I'm ever getting a vote. I'm pretty sure I'm never getting a vote. But hey, here I am. So let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.